In Chapter 4, we will be learning about object properties and organization. In my graphics window, I have drawn a floor plan of an arbitrary location. Notice how I used a multi-line command to draw these lines. So I didn't actually draw an outside border then offset in, or I didn't draw both lines here to make up these walls. I used a multi-line command that allowed me to make a style for the multi-line. And I designed it to have end caps as well as just be two lines. You can make multi-lines have as many lines as you want, as well as center lines and different types of lines. If you want a center dash line through the middle of this, you could do that. I also created something to fill the space, for example, this bathroom. So I made a bathtub, a sink, and a toilet here, which was created on its own layer. Up here in the layer portion of the ribbon toolbar, we can create different layers. So if I press the down arrow, you notice I have a bathroom layer and a wall layer. If I press this light bulb, I can make layers turn off, which is a great way to have different designs for different rooms, as well as you can make a layer for, say, a plumbing schematic or an electrical schematic, and you can show them all at once or make them all go away. So now I'm going to show you how I made all this. I'm going to open up a new file here. We're going to do the quick setup. We want our units to be architectural, so to be fractional, and we all know that one tick mark is a foot and two tick marks is an inch. Next, we want our width to be set up to be 60 feet. Don't forget to put the tick mark for feet by 40 feet. Finish. And now we're going to go set up our grid in snap mode if we choose to use that later. So we'll go to Tools, Drafting Settings, Snapping Grid, and we're going to change this to 6 inches. The default for AutoCAD without putting any tick marks is in inches if you're in imperial units. I'll just click down here and it'll change both. I'll do the same for the snap, just input a 6 and then click down here, and again it changes them both. I'm also going to turn off the adaptive grid. Press OK. And now we have our window set up. Just to make sure we view the whole area, we're going to go to View and Extents, and this will adjust our graphics area so we can see the entire limits that we've created. So now we're going to learn about the multi-line. We can create our own multi-line by going up to Format, Multi-line Style. And there's a standard multi-line that we can modify that looks something like this with no end caps, or we can make our own multi-line style. So we'll go to New, and the name of this multi-line that we're going to create we'll call Wall. Here we can give a description for the wall, so it's going to be a 5-inch wall with line in caps. This description will allow us to get a quick overview of what this line is if we ever need to use this layer again. Sorry, this line. So we want to have end caps in the start and at the end, and we want to have the offset from the center line, or the line that we actually draw, to be 2.5 on one side and negative 2.5 on the other side. So when we go to draw a line, we're gonna draw a line like we normally do, but then it's going to automatically offset in both directions 2.5 inches, which will make our overall 5-inch thick wall. So we're gonna click on this layer and then type in 2.5, and then we're going to click on this layer and type in negative 2.5. When we're finished, we're going to press OK. Then we're going to select our wall style and click Set Current. can also see a preview of the wall as well as the description that we made when we made our own wall multi-line style. Now we're going to go up to Draw and Multi-line. This is how we use the multi-line tool, and we're going to make the outline of this floor plan. So we're just going to click kind of in an arbitrary location, and notice how I can input my coordinates right now in polar mode if I felt like it, which means I'd give it a length and an angle. However, if I turn ortho on right now, it would be very helpful to make sure all my walls are in perpendicular directions, seeing that the floor plan walls are all perpendicular to each other. So my first wall I want to be 11 foot 6 inches. So I'm just going to input 11 and then put 1 tick mark and then 6 with 2 tick marks. So shift and the same key. Press enter, and now we have a wall that's that long. We're going to do this for all the way around the floor plan here. So the next one is 25, 1 tick mark, 6, 2 tick marks, and enter. And the next one's going to be 30, 1 tick mark, enter. Next one's going to be another 30 with 1 tick mark. The 1 tick mark again means feet. And I'm kind of just zooming in and out right now with my middle mouse wheel so I can get a better view of it. The next one's going to be 14 foot 9 inches, enter. And again, make sure your cursor is in the direction you want this to go, because if you didn't, it would just either go that way or this way. So just have it in the direction you want to go. So 11 feet, and the last one is 1 foot 1 inch. When I'm finished, I'm going to right click and choose enter. So after we've made this floor plan, we're now going to add a few more points to it. So we're first going to help ourselves out by getting out the Object Snap toolbar. We're going to go Tools, Toolbar, AutoCAD, and Object Snap. And we're going to snap a line to the midpoint on this wall and go out 10 feet. So to do that, we're going to get our multi-line tool out. We're going to draw and multi-line. If I press the down arrow right now, we have a few options, and we could justify this this line. So when I draw a line, it'll either make the multi-line to the top of it, the bottom of it, or centered about it. So we want to justify this wall to the bottom. So we're going to press enter, and then we're going to press our down arrow to bottom. Now we're going to press the midpoint snap. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and I want to snap to this outer edge wall, and the triangle stands for midpoint. And then I want to go out 10 feet. Once I've gone out that far, I want to go up 2 foot 8. Right click, choose enter. Now I want to make another corresponding wall that goes to a point out here that leaves room for a doorway. So first I'm going to make the doorway, and that is going to be a depth of 2 foot 8. So I just choose the line command, shows this outside corner, and then I'm going to input a distance of 2 foot 8 inches. right click and choose enter in the command. And now I'm going to make the corresponding wall that lines up with this. And to do that, I'm going to go back to Draw, Multi-Line. I'm going to press the down arrow and press it one more time to go to Justification. Press enter. Now I want to justify top, so move that bullet to the top. Press enter. Now I'm going to use the Snap From tool, the Object Snap toolbar. I'm going to snap from this point with a relative coordinate of at 10 feet, comma 0. Enter. And that lines me up perfectly on top of this line I just drew. Press the spacebar to end the command. So once you've done that, we need to do a little bit of editing here. Notice how with these multi-lines we drew, we have these crossings in these corners. And we want to get rid of those. So I'm going to go up to Modify, Object, and Multi-Line. This gives us a menu of editing tools for multi-line. So we want to open up the T's what we want to do. So we're going to choose that. Notice our cursor changes to a pick box, and we're going to select the point we want to change and then the wall that needs to change about. And notice how it opens it up. We're going to do the same thing up here. So that's probably the easiest way to fix that. However, if you really wanted to, you could use a combination of the trim command and the explode command. So now we're going to add a few more walls to this. There's a number of ways to do this. In my opinion, the best way is to make several construction lines that lay out where these walls go, and you fill them in with multi-lines. So I'm going to start off with a construction line tool in the drawing portion of the ribbon tool panel. So I'm going to get the construction line. And I want to make an offset of a certain distance. So now that we're in the construction line, I'm going to press O for offset. And my first offset I'm going to make is going to be 8 feet. Press enter. And I want to offset from this inner wall. And then in this direction, so I'm going to click in this direction. My next offset I'm going to make is going to be 7 foot 9 inches. So I'm going to press spacebar to exit the command and spacebar to re-enter the command. Press O for offset, put 9 foot 7 inches. And one more construction line I'm going to add, so I'm going to press spacebar again, and I want a horizontal line that's based off the top here. So I don't want to clutter the whole drawing graphics window with construction lines, so I'm going to stop right here and start adding a few lines. So I'm going to go up to Draw and Multi-Line, and I want to justify bottom, so I'm going to press J for justify and B for bottom. I'm going to select this point out here and then go all the way out to a point over here. Now it doesn't really matter where I go, as I'm going to change this a little bit later, so I'm just going to go past both these lines. Now I'm going to make a vertical wall right here, so to re-enter the multi-line command, I'm going to press the space bar, and I'm going to click this intersection point, and notice now how it kind of justifies it on the left side of that line. I want the other justification, so I'm going to press escape, spacebar again, justify, and I want top, spacebar. Now it justifies it on the right side, and we want it to go up 2 foot 6 inches. press the spacebar to end the command. Next we're going to draw a couple lines. We want a line here that goes up 2 foot 8 inches. And then we want another line that goes over here 2 foot 8 inches. Press escape. If we zoom in a little bit, you notice I have that line right here. It shows the grips for it. And if I'm to select the multi-line here, it only has one grip, and I can actually extend this multi-line out to different points. And it will also snap. If I zoom far enough, you'll notice that they'll do an endpoint snap, which is where that line I just made. So now it's to its actual location. Okay, now I'm going to do another construction line offset. So I'm going to draw construction line, type in O for offset, and I want to do an offset of 6 foot 3 inches. It's going to be based off the top of this line. So I'm going to click that line, and then click it in the direction I want to go. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to enter the command, go to offset, and 5 foot 5 inches this time. And anytime I want to pan or zoom, again, I'm just using that middle wheel mouse on my mouse. If I click down on it, it allows me to pan if I hold the mouse down. And if I just move the wheel back and forth, I can zoom in and out. If you don't have a mouse with those options, you have these quick options here for panning and zooming. So now we go back to draw a multi-line, and we want to justify bottom. We want to take this line out to here, a space bar. Notice how these construction lines really help me lay out where these walls are being placed instead of having to input dimensions. Do the same thing out here. Do this. And once we've done that, I'm going to remove these lines by pressing erase. And I'm also going to remove this line by pressing erase. Here's that line I drew here earlier. I'm going to finish it off with another multi-line, so I'm going to draw multi-line. And I want to justify top. I'm going to choose it all the way through the part. That way I can use that tool I showed you earlier to open the T. Okay, we're going to go back into multi-line again by pressing the space bar. I'm going to click this corner point right here, and I want to, oh, not the midpoint. The end point right there. There you go. And then I'm going to input 2 feet. Spacebar to end the command. And now I'm going to draw a line that goes up 2 feet 4 inches. Then I'm going to get out my multi-line command again. Snap to the top of that line, which might be hard to find at first, but if you move your cursor over this construction line, it's in the vertical orientation right now, which is kind of hiding my line I just drew, it'll give you an endpoint snap, which shows you at the end of a line. So that's what you're looking for. And this line goes up 5 foot 8 inches. Now once you've drawn all that, you can remove your construction lines if you'd like by either pressing the erase and the modify toolbar, or you can select it and press delete on your keyboard. Okay, now you have those rooms drawn, and we're going to open up these T sections. That way it's drawn properly. So we're going to go to the Modify menu, Objects, and multi-line. We're going to click Open T. We're going to choose the line we want to open, and lines opening and about. And one more time. Again. That's a corner, it's not a T. This one might give us some trouble right here. It does. So now I'm going to right click to end the command, and I'm going to go back into the Modify toolbar, go to Object, Multi-line, and now we want to fix the corner. So we're going to choose the corner joint. Now we're going to open this up. That'll fix that one. One last one that will give us trouble is this one right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to select these two walls. We're going to click Explode, and then we're going to use the Trim tool to select these two lines. And we're going to right click and choose the middle here, and then select it twice. Press the space bar. We'll now select this middle piece and remove it. And we'll do it one more time to remove the other line wall. Because remember, this is one line with a line right there with basically a rectangle. And then there's another rectangle on top of it. So there's two lines right there. So we have to do this twice. Right click and remove this intersection. Now we have our bathroom, our floor plan. So if you have a set of plans here, you normally would have one floor plan, and then you can make many drawings after this, as far as electrical drawings, your plumbing drawings, and so on, all with the same floor plan. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go make a few layers. So I'm going to go to the Layer Properties, and then this window will pop up, and I will click the New Layers button. Here we're going to make two layers. One's going to call Wall. Enter to initiate it, and then press Enter one more time to make a new layer. We're going to call this one Bathroom. In the layer properties, we can choose a different line type, different line weight, or color for that line. For the bathroom type, a color of crayon. And you can do that by simply just selecting the color in the color column, and then that window will pop up and you can choose a color. So I'm going to set bathroom to current by clicking this green checkbox, and then I'm going to escape out of here. And now I'm going to turn this little room right in here into a bathroom. So now we're going to start off by making a few offsets. So we go to the Draw portion of the Ribbon Tool panel and go to Construction Line. We're going to insert in an O for offset. Press spacebar, and we want to offset a distance of 2'6". So we'll put 2, one tick mark, dash 6 inches, enter, and we want to offset off this inside wall. Now we're going to press enter or spacebar, and press it again. Press O again, and we want offset distance of 3 inches this time. So we're going to offset off this wall, and the bottom. Press the spacebar to get out of the command. Then we're going to use a rectangle tool. We're going to start at this point right here. Enter D for dimension, and the inside dimension here is going to be a distance from here to here. So I'm actually just going to choose that by dragging this line. And then I know the height is 4'7". Enter. Left click to set the rectangle. Now press the spacebar again and choose the outside points here. Now we can remove our construction lines. So again, press the delete on the keyboard, or just press the erase button in the modify toolbar. Now we're going to go up to the fillet tool, and we want to give it a R for radius of 3 inches, enter, and select the lines that the fillet is centered about. So there you have your bathtub. And next we're going to make the sink and the toilet. So we know that the size of the rectangles that make up both of these, one has to be 10 by 20 and the other one has to be 20 by 30. Press the rectangle tool, press the snap from distance, and we're going to snap from that distance a relative coordinate at 2 foot dash 10 inches, comma 0. Press enter. And now we know this rectangle has dimensions, so I'll put a D of 30 inches, enter, by 20. Left click on the mouse to place the rectangle. Now we're going to use another rectangle and use the snap from, and we're going to snap from the same point a relative coordinate of at 9 inches, comma 0. Enter. And now we're going to enter dimensions of 20, enter, 10, enter. Left click to place the rectangle. Now we need to add a fillet to both of these. To do that, we're going to choose our fillet tool, and since we already previously had a radius of 3 put in there, as well as it shows in our command prompt line that there already is a radius of 3 in there, we can just simply start adding the fillet. And lastly, we're using ellipse to make the toilet portion. So to do that, we want to use a different type of ellipse. We want to use a axis end ellipse, and we want to choose the center point of the back of the toilet here, and we want to make a second point of at 0, comma 20, and we want to make a third point for the width of this of at 7.5, comma 0. Enter. So there you have your toilet seat. And if we zoom out here, we can switch our layer to wall, and then we can go back into this layer properties and turn off the bathroom layer, making the bathroom disappear. So you can use the same concept for many different things, whether it's your plumbing schematics or your electrical schematics. You can have them all shown at once, or just show different ones, or different versions of each. So you have it, your first multi-line drawing with the layer.